The Athletics' Jon Machota covering the Dallas Cowboys here on 105 through the Fan. John, what's going on?
Not much. It's funny that you say that, though, because it just makes me think of being at the Senior Bowl in 2016 and how following around Carson Wentz because, Jerry's following him around. Jerry's talking to him after a practice. Like, this could be the next Cowboys score. I don't know. It's just the silliness of this business that we're in.
Isn't it amazing? Yeah, Carson Wentz had been up at the Ford Center when he won the national championship at the Star.
Right.
Oh, boy.
A small world.
Yeah, life come at you fast. Mm-hmm. It's amazing that, as we were talking about the quarterback, as we'll start off with, that Dak Prescott, you think about the 2016 NFL draft, and correct me if I'm wrong, John, he is the only one left from his original team that was drafted that particular year from that draft class. Is that right?
I believe that's correct. And I don't think anybody would have said that when the draft actually happened. I mean, I'm not saying that you would have thought Wentz and Goff would be with the same teams, but you'd probably think at least one of them would. It is crazy to think about that. And to be honest with you, he obviously didn't play very well in that 49ers game to end the season, but at the same time, I could be wrong for thinking this way, but I just feel like if you were to move on from Dak Prescott, the chances of you messing it up and ending up far worse are just so much greater than trying to build around him and give him a chance to have success, as your quarterback. Because he just checks so many boxes that you're just, I don't know. I think that they could there's a better chance they make a huge mistake than to find somebody that's significantly better.
And you're right. And Kevin, you were talking about how Dak is the only quarterback left from that year 2016 still on his original team that he was drafted by. To show you how crazy those odds are, before the Cowboys even drafted him, we would always have Jerry on the show, G-Bag or whatever, and somebody would always ask him, when are you going to get a quarterback to back up Romo or a Romo replacement for the future? Why don't you spend a first-round pick on a quarterback? And Jerry would break down the odds of getting it right. He was saying, you want to make sure you don't waste that pick. We want to get talent for Tony Romo and not get the wrong guy because he had numbers. He wasn't just talking off the top of his head. He had numbers from scouts. And so they know they found Dak Prescott lightning in the bottle. And that's why it's very frustrating that they won't actually add talent around him like a la the Philadelphia Eagles did with Jalen Hurts. Your thoughts, Jon Machota, on maybe this year they actually might go beyond the draft and the development style and go after a free agent in the first round, or the first week of free agency?
No, Chris, you make a great point because it's not like you have to look at some team in the AFC that you don't see very often. I mean, there's just so many great examples with that Eagles team. I mean, I could talk for 20 minutes about it. Just the fact, we talk about Wentz. They invested in Wentz, gave him the contract, screwed up on that, and they've still been to 2 Super Bowls.
Yes.
And so they've shown you that you can rebound from that. So there's that point. But then the other side of it is that they've also shown you how being aggressive, you can fill holes and you can be one of those teams that gets to the Super Bowl. And then the biggest thing really is they've shown you that, don't get me wrong, I think Jalen Hurts put in a lot of work in the offseason and that helped him. But it really helps him when they do a trade on draft day to get A.J. Brown. And all of a sudden you're just like, man, look at Jalen Hurts. This is an MVP conversation guy. And don't get me wrong, I think Jalen Hurts has improved immensely, and I think they have a very good quarterback on their hands. But you look at that and you're like, well, why wouldn't you want to try and do that same exact thing if you're the Cowboys? So if I am going to say one thing that would be positive that fans should be somewhat excited about is that while Jerry has been a guy that recently hasn't made a lot of big moves like that, when he does, it generally is for the wide receiver type, whether you're talking about Terrell Owens or Roy Williams or Galloway or even Amari Cooper. He has shown that he will be aggressive for that type of playmaker. And frankly, I think that's the biggest thing. If you're going to add one, if you can only add one, that's what this team needs, is to add some type of a playmaking wide receiver. And I think they feel the exact same way.
John, you are in Indianapolis for the NFL Scouting Combine this week, and we look at what the Cowboys have at the number 26 overall pick. For you, as you're going to be talking, with Jerry and Steven and throughout the course of the week here, what are you looking for? What are some of the things that you're trying to ascertain in terms of information about what this team is trying to do this offseason?
Well, when you talk about 26, one of the first things that comes to mind is just one of my good friends, Dane Brugler. I was just talking to him a little while ago. He does a great job for us at The Athletic covering the draft.
Trust the tape.
And when you talk to him about, kind of what could be there at 26, the big position that stands out of need would be corner. And so I'm interested. That's one of the things is that, okay, how much do they still think they need a corner? It was very clear a couple of years ago in the draft when they ended up taking Micah Parsons, but they were pretty open about, man, we really need another corner, to go opposite Trayvon Diggs. And I think 26 lines up pretty well for that to be a possible position there. But I'm also interested to gauge where they are on the offensive line. Like, do they feel comfortable with their chances of re-signing, Connor McGovern? Where they stand with Tyron Smith? Because if they're not as committed in those situations, then you're kind of thinking, okay, maybe 26, another offensive lineman. I know a lot of fans don't want to hear that, but that is a possibility that maybe they go for a guard so that they can keep Tyler Smith out at left tackle. So those are the kind of things. And also, I'd love to know, and I'm looking forward to finding out what they feel about this wide receiver class, because do they feel that there's somebody at 26 or maybe even somebody that could fall, let's say, maybe into the 20s and they're willing to trade up a couple spots? Do they feel that good about one of these receivers that could possibly be there? Because I kind of have my doubts that they're going to go that route because of the fact of just basically how they got nothing out of Jalen Tolbert last year. And I know that's a third-round pick, but are they willing to go wide receiver early? And then maybe they are if they feel that strongly about this class. I just don't know if they do yet.
Here's a question for you, a theoretical, a lot of Cowboy fans, team builders, and Tolos are throwing around. If he's still there, or put it like this.
Don't you do it, Chris.
I have to do it.
I know where this is going.
Don't you do it.
I have to do this.
Don't you do it.
I'm going to do this even though everybody seems to be allergic to drafting a running back in the first round. If he is there, would you think the Cowboys might even dare draft Bijan Robinson?
Don't you do it, Machota, either. Don't you do it either.
So I wouldn't think so. But, Chris, of everybody that's listening right now and us right now talking, I don't think anyone knows Jerry better than Chris. He's been around him the longest, no question. And so because of that, that if he's there at 26, Jerry's going to seriously want to consider that.
And Steven's going to have to fight him over that card, right?
Absolutely. And hey, maybe he wins out, and maybe it is Johnny Manziel, Zach Martin. But it's just like the Odell Beckham thing. I think there's a lot of us that at a certain point you were like, all right, just move on from this.
Yeah.
But because Jerry wanted to keep it going, then it keeps going. And Bijan Robinson is the type of player that would have Jerry Jones intrigued that, hey, maybe this is the splash player that makes the difference on our offense. So me personally, I don't think that would be a great move. But at the end of the day, Jerry Jones makes the decisions, and with him, I can't rule that out.
See, let me tell you why I entertain this. And I went to OU. I respect Bijan Robinson, UT. But here's why I even throw that out there. Zeke wants to come back, pay cut. We know that. We already know that the most he'll probably be able to do effectively is get the dirty yards at the goal line. Tony Pollard is coming off of an injury. Why not have that insurance policy that could take care of both situations just in case neither one of them are any good? I'm talking about Pollard or Zeke next year. And I only bring that up because Gallup wasn't Gallup last year.
Well, and I'll tell you this is how they would spin it if that ends up, let's say that scenario happened. It would be that, well, we're going to run the ball more and take pressure off of Dak so that it'll be more like when he was a rookie. And they're going to talk about how Zeke is, like, he'll be the 2016 Zeke.
Right.
Dak wins Rookie of the Year, but, I mean, they're not having that success without Zeke. So that's how they would sell it, that, hey, we're going to lean on the run game. Dak's not going to have to throw 30, 35 times a game. We're going to try and win games with him throwing 25 times a game, and we're going to turn it back to a little bit more like how he was his rookie year. So, again,
they'll spin it that way, and they'll even say it's going to keep our defense fresher, keep them off the field. I mean, we'll control the clock better, all of that stuff.
Absolutely. I can totally picture that. And, hey, let's be honest, there's a lot of Longhorn fans that are Cowboys fans, and they'll be very intrigued by that, and they'll love that. And there'll be a lot of criticism for it as well, don't get me wrong. But if they have the success, and then, of course, they're going to have more success than they did in 2016. But if it looks like they did in 2016 where they're rattling off, 10, 11 wins in a row, no one's going to complain about it.
Jon Machota, The Athletic, joining us here via the Diamond Factory hotline right here on 105 through the fan here on the Get Right or Reggie KG. So with you being in Indianapolis as well, you're going to be talking with Jerry, talking with Steven, and everyone else there as well. But from a combine standpoint, is there something specific that you're looking for? You talked with Dane Brugler and what the needs are. Is there a player or two that you're looking to see or to hearing about this week when it comes to the combine?
Well, maybe not as much with the Cowboys as some of the other teams, but certainly I would say quarterback is there. And that's just because it's intriguing every single year about what teams are going to do at quarterback. But then also just the fact that I do think the Cowboys will draft a quarterback at some point. Like maybe it is somebody like a Max Duggan, like in the later rounds. I don't think that they'll draft one in the first few rounds, but
Stetson Bennett's still in town.
I'm just playing. I'm playing.
Wow.
I'm just playing.
Wow, Chris.
They let him out.
I'm playing. I'm telling the truth.
That position is just so intriguing to everyone. And me personally, like Dane loves this quarterback class way more than I do. And I'm just interested to see how that unfolds. Like, I mean, is this really a class where there's going to have 2 or 3 guys that go within the first 5 or 6 picks? It just doesn't seem that loaded of a class. And then the fact of maybe what if there is a Dak Prescott in this class? Who is that? Can the Cowboys hit on somebody else that they think could be a future Dak Prescott that maybe they get in the 5th or 6th round? I don't know, but that certainly is something that I got my eye on. I think the quarterbacks will work out on Saturday, so I'm interested to see that. That would probably be the biggest thing for me.
Have you thought? I know you're out there in Indianapolis. Have you thought about what they're going to do with Cooper Rush? I'm sure they're going to keep him, but I'm just talking about how quickly they're going to get him taken care of, or they're going to just tell him, just wait, we got you, and then we'll handle up on some of these other things and look at the cap.
See, I kind of think that Cooper Rush is going to get offered something decent from another team to be in a situation where, yes, he's the backup, but he's got a chance that, let's just say this, the starter isn't to Dak Prescott's level, and he's got a better chance of playing. And so it would not surprise me if we go into training camp and the Cowboys quarterbacks are Dak Prescott, Will Grier, and then somebody they draft in, let's say, the 5th round. That would not surprise me at all. The Cooper Rush thing, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if he ended up maybe going to the Chargers or something. Like, obviously, Justin Herbert's there, but maybe he wants to go
Kellen Moore.
He's back with Kellen Moore and Doug Nussmeier's there. Like, those type of connections, like, they factor in. And if he doesn't think that he's going to get a chance here to play, I mean, hey, let's be honest. I don't think that Cooper Rush thinks he's Dak Prescott. But when you go 4-1 as a starter, I think there's a part of you that thinks, hey, if I get a chance on a team that doesn't have that great of a starter, I might get to play. I might get to start 5 or 6 games. I mean, as a professional athlete, you want to investigate that opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Oh, by the way, speaking of investigating, are you heading over to St. Elmo sometime?
Yeah, what's funny about that is, so that's a great spot. Obviously, I think most people know that's pretty elite spot here. But
little steakhouse.
The Prime 47 is the one that late at nights. That's where most of the team personnel, agents, and things are at. It's a little bit up the road, short walk from St. Elmo. So yeah, I'll be moving around. There is a lot of great restaurants around here. I mean, it's funny because if you ask anybody that covers this or anybody from any NFL teams, it's very rare that you find someone that talks about how they should move the combine. Like, most people that come out here just love that it's in Indy. It's very walkable.
Mm-hmm.
The weather's not terrible, but I'm sure you've heard this before, Chris. There's been talks about, hey, maybe they should move to LA or moving into maybe a bigger market. And most people, Jerry included, would love for it to stay in Indianapolis. It does have a kind of a small town feel to it that, I mean, everybody's kind of in the same place at the same time.
It really is. It's in a way it's kind of like New Orleans, because New Orleans is walkable, but it's not as, I don't know, dangerous as New York. I mean, New Orleans, I'm talking about like fun and anything can happen, and beads and swinging balconies. It's just a cool little spot that you can walk around. There's a hotel right down the street around there. I stayed there for the Final Four. It's shaped it looks like a train station. All the hotel rooms are it's by the train station. It's like a cool little hotel, and I'm like, everything is just walkable over there. Statues everywhere. It's nice.
That's a good point. The other part of it is that with like a New Orleans, you could still get like a bachelorette party, or you can get like a party of people those are the people you have to worry about that are going to take video and take pictures of
yes.
Agents or play or coaches and stuff having a few drinks and stuff like that.
Right.
In Indianapolis, like during this weekend, it's pretty much anywhere you go, it's pretty much somebody with NFL, like whether it's like a lot of these programs that help the guys prep, Exos and these different things like that. It's a lot of that. It's a lot of agents, a lot of team, like almost. It has a feel of it's like almost all NFL people are here at this time. And so I think that's what also helps it work.
Mm-hmm.